Hey everybody, it's Sam. This is my vlog for April 16th. Let me just make sure.
Thursday, April 16th.
Yeah, April 16th, 2015. And sorry I didn't make a vlog yesterday. I don't know, I just didn't feel like making one. What did I even do yesterday? Oh, well, I spent a lot of time looking up stuff to do with Anixter Center because Robert is looking into that to do interviews, to look into the different departments they have. And so I was looking up stuff on Anixter Center. They seem to have a good, a lot of different departments for a lot of different things. They have a lot for developmental disabilities, and they have like different job things, like helping in a packaging center, different like job coaching opportunities for people with different disabilities. I don't know if that's just for developmental disabilities or if it's for anyone. So I don't know, but it looks really good. They have a lot of deaf services, which I think is important. A lot of deaf community events. Everything from like AA meetings to different workshops on like how to advocate for yourself, and different things like that. They have the mental health day program, which I'm trying to get into. Another resident that lives here loves it. She used to be my roommate, and she's pretty nice. And she loves the program. She's been going for years, and she loves, they have different groups, they have outings. I believe they have dance therapy and art therapy, and I think they used to have music therapy, but I'm not sure. And it just seems like they have a lot to offer. They have residential services. I'm not sure if that's just for developmental disabilities or the deaf, or if it's for anybody. I know that they do. I've asked people, and like they do have blinds. Some people there that are blind. It said somewhere that they refer blind people to the Chicago Lighthouse, which is really stupid because they don't even have mental health counseling. Edith was really good at like trying to look up stuff for people with disabilities and mental illness, and she's like, well, I either can find stuff for people with disabilities or people with mental illness, and like not both, which I think is really dumb. And she's like, yeah, the Chicago Lighthouse like totally lied. She's like, it says counseling on their homepage, but it's just like this little template thing and like isn't even real. So she's like, yeah, no, whereas a lot of these places, like I think they say that I went to Anixter for like a tour, and I don't remember that at all. I know in 2012 I went to a lot of different places until I found Trilogy, and they were really good, so I stuck with them. But they say I went there. But I remember when I went to Newman Family Services, which is another place, but I think that mostly has like developmental disabilities. And I remember but it had a mental health program, and I remember them being like, oh, well, you should go to Chicago Lighthouse. I'm like, no, I shouldn't, because they don't have counseling. Like, that's just not, I don't want to go over there and like work in a call center right now. I was going to do an internship back in 2013, I think it was. But I was just so anxious about how would I be, looking professional, being professional all the time. I mean, I've had internships, but, by that point, my depression was getting worse, and my anxiety was getting worse. Not as bad as it was when I had my breakdown, but it was still, bad, and I was just getting so anxious about like how would I be perceived, and could I keep it together, however many days a week I went, and what would they think of me. And it wasn't helping that this friend Jack I had is really paranoid and like really anxious, puts a lot of anxiety out there and like negativity. Anything you want to do is like, oh, well, this could happen, that could happen, this person isn't really trustworthy, they don't really care, this could happen, it was so much for me that I ended up having this like meltdown in my caseworker's car, and from Trilogy, so it just wasn't worth it. Anyway, so I was looking up stuff for Anixter, for Robert, and I went on LinkedIn and looked, and gave him LinkedIn contacts, including the contact for the person that heads up the mental health program. And I sent him like the CEO contact, because he loves like contacting the CEOs of these places. I'm like, I would not even know what to say. But he loves contacting like the, heads of all these places. I mean, oh my God, he had a interview, not an interview, he had a Skype chat, I think it was, or something with Obama. Like, he totally called the White House, and talked to the president. It was like the most amazing thing I ever heard of. But he knows not to have me call like big organizations like that, or even close to like that, because I'd like have an anxiety attack. So he has me do more like internet research, and sometimes I've called a few places, but I usually like to just do email and like collect contacts for him and do transcriptions and things like that. Maybe one day I'll be brave and actually make some phone calls, because, some days, like a lot of us know this, like with mental illness, like you do not feel like talking to anybody, never mind calling organizations and trying to talk to them. But so I was looking on LinkedIn at Anixter, and oh my goodness, Edith was frustrated because, we tried to call the mental health part of it and we haven't gotten answers. Well, like a month or two ago, we called and they're like, oh, well, our program doesn't have any room. And at that time I was going to Norwegian, their program. And so, but now that I'm not, she wants to call and be like, okay, well, now she's not, and there aren't very many other options, like at all. And, what can we do? And she's a big advocate of like bugging people until they either give her an answer or, something. So finally they realized that like the person that she needed to talk to was on vacation for a week and a half. And it's like, well, there was no one else to tell them that. And she says, it looks like that, one person does one big job and that's it. And if that person's gone, then you don't get an answer. But I find it really funny because when I was on LinkedIn, you should have seen the different profiles there were for like marketing and like public relations. It seemed like there was like 6 different people on those jobs. So obviously they want to like market their things, but they need more people to run their programs, or else they're going to be marketing themselves to death and not have any programs, have like overloaded programs. So anyway, I did that yesterday, and that was interesting because I'm going to be going over there to the organization, hopefully for a tour, and to hopefully do their mental health program. If not, try to find something else for me to do. And then what else did I do? I listened to audiobook Casey Watson, Nowhere to Go. It's a very good book. I haven't finished it yet, but I listened to it. I also listened to some of the Wasted book. I've just been listening to different audiobooks that I have back and forth. Not really listening to one in particular. I also was listening to books on my iPod last night. I finished Learning to Love Amy by Mia Marconi, and that's about this the foster carer that she only writes short stories, and there's no like website or Facebook page for her, but I would like to say that I wish that she would write long, like full-length books, because I think in her short stories she has to condense like the experience of what's going on, where she ends up taking this child for like years, and that's considered a short-term placement, where if I've read other books where a year is considered a short-term placement and then they go to like long-term placement. So it's really confusing. But anyway, this book is about this little girl that like the biggest problem is like the social services don't know how to deal with her mom, who's like constantly suicidal and just a mess. And so Mia ended up, building a relationship with Amy, the mother, and that like totally changed her life and made her turn around and actually be able to get her child back in the end. But it took a while to get there, and it was really sad, what this mother had been through, and that the foster carer was able to really encourage her to get the support she needed. So that was a good story. And then I was kind of irritable. I went to the medical doctor yesterday that comes in, and he comes in every month. And we have to see him every month, whether we want to or not, which I think is really stupid. And you don't know when he's coming in until the night before or the morning of when he's coming in. So if you have program or something to do, you have to literally reschedule the last minute, or you just don't go. And usually I have nothing to say to him. And so, but I went and talked to him, and I did mention that my period's been very late. I haven't gotten it since the end of February. And he was just kind of, he was frustrating about it because I've never had a male doctor, to talk to about it. I think it's really awkward, like talking to a guy about it, because they really don't get it. And I've always had female doctors, and when I was at Trilogy, their clinic is awesome. It's run through Heartland Alliance, and it's run through Heartland Alliance, and they're really good. And the nurse practitioner is amazing. Her name is Pam, and she's just awesome. And the doctors are really good. Like one of the main medical doctors, I believe she's a woman, and she does psychiatry and medical stuff. So that's really interesting. Anyway, so I talked to him about it, and he doesn't know me from anybody else here. So he was like, "Oh, well, are you sexually active?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Oh, well, sometimes it gets late because of medicine." And so I'm like, "Yeah, I changed my medicine in February. I raised my Lamictal, and I raised my, I got on the Buspar, but I don't see why that, I don't believe any of the side effects about that is late period." And he's like, "Oh, well, it could be stress, it could be the weather." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And he's like, "It could be, and I said, "Well, I've gained 5 pounds in the past, in whatever, March." And all of a sudden I said, I still think that's really weird. Some people don't, because they're like, "Well, you're sitting around and, blah, 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 and you're eating snacks." And it's like, well, I've done that all my life, and I've been always a slim person. Everyone's like, "Where do you put it?" Because I eat all this food. I mean, not all this food, but if it's something I really like, I eat a lot of it. But he was like, "Oh, well, see, that's why I think you should get a pregnancy test." I'm like, "I'm not pregnant. I've never had sex. Oh, my God." And he was just like, "Oh, well, I can refer you to OBGYN." And I'm thinking, like, well, not really, because I do not want to have a pelvic exam. And I don't, my pediatrician and nurse practitioner said I only need those, like, every few years. Granted, it's been a few years. I haven't had one since 2012, but I was going to have one when I was at the clinic, and I would have been more comfortable doing it there than, not going to this random gynecologist that I don't even know, that doesn't know me. And, so anyway, I was like, well, is there really that big concerns? Because I don't have any pains or anything, or, there's nothing weird about my body or anything. It's just late period. And he was like, "Oh, we'll wait a couple weeks, and if you still don't get it, we'll send you to the OBGYN." And I was like, okay, it was kind of useless conversation, because if you talk to a woman, you get more reassurance about, like, "Oh, this happened to me too," or, it's no big deal, or, "We're going to send you for this, and it would be, just this and that," and it's, but with a guy, it's just, like, so awkward and, like, such a waste of time. So I don't know, I was irritable about that, and then tried to do more signing and got irritated about that because I finally discovered that these different websites that Jess and I are using, I thought that, different websites might have better pictures, because it's one website she was looking at and she's like, "I can't even see this guy's hand, I can't even see how this guy is doing the sign, never mind anything else." So I was like, "Oh, well, that's dumb. Maybe some of these websites have better pictures." So I was sending her these different websites, and then, like, every so often I'd do a certain sign, and she'd be like, "Oh, no, it's not this. It can't be that. That's totally wrong." And so she'd show me this other sign, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And then, like, last night, I was like, okay, like, we were working on a sign for help, and I was like, the first way I ever learned it was like this, like, help. And then, like, the next time she taught it, it was like some other random thing that I can't even do, because I forgot it. But I was like, "That's not it. It's with the fist." And she's like, "Oh, no, that's how you do stop." And I was like, "No, you do stop like that." And so finally I realized, I was like, these people are doing different signs for the same sign. And I was like, that's just retarded, because how are you supposed to learn if you have all these completely different signs? I mean, it's not like it's even remotely similar. At least it doesn't look like it to me, And I was like, oh my God, like, this has been frustrating enough. Never mind trying to learn different signs for the same word. So I was like, oh my God, I finally figured this out. And I wrote Robert, I'm like, "Are there different signs for the same word?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's what deaf people call accents." I was like, "Oh, that's nice." So now I'm like, I can never do this, because this is just insane. How am I going to pick, like, what sign to do I mean, I suppose I could do the signs that is like the easiest ones to do, but then, you know, someone could be like, that's not how you do it, you know, and so it's just really strange. But I don't know. I just got really fed up, and then she was like, oh, you know, like she was looking at different ones, and she was like, you know, what were you saying? Which one? And I was like, never mind. You know, and what's frustrating is like I'll do a sign, and then she'll like totally forget how to do that herself, or like she'll tell me to do a sign, and I'll be like, we never learned that. And she's like, yes, we did. So it's just really weird because she's not even close to like, I mean, I don't need someone that's like born deaf and like done signs all their life, but like even someone that's like learned sign language, you know, for a while and pretty much knows what they know, you know, to help me would be great. I mean, Robert was good at showing me like different ones. I forget which ones he showed me. He showed me how to do I want. I think he showed me how to do cat. Yeah, he showed me how to do cat. He showed me how to do dog. You know, we only had a couple of, that was on Thanksgiving when he came over and we were talking about signs and, certain things I thought the reason why some of his signs looked different was because he was modifying them for the fact that some of his fingers don't work like fingers that aren't CP hands. So I thought that was the difference, but I guess it wasn't. I guess it was like he learned from some teacher that was teaching signs from the 1960s, which I think is really weird. At least I won't have that problem because I assume all these signs on this website is a little bit more current. But anyway, I just got frustrated and I'm like, I can't do signs because this is really dumb. So I was in a bad mood about that, and then I was just tired. So long story, really long story about why I couldn't do a video last night. Today I'm just hanging out. I'm actually pretty awake, so I'm not taking my nap this morning. I don't know if I'll take a nap this afternoon, but I'm awake and I'm just hanging out. Trying to figure out this audioboom thing. I can't for the life of me find the follow button for people's channels. It's like it's just not there. I can like different posts, but I can't find the follow button, you know, which is like the subscribe button on YouTube where you can see all the different channels that you're following. So I don't know. I just hope it's going to be a good way to network with different people and stuff like that. I think someone sent me a message and I need to listen to it. And it's not hard, but it's like I don't have like a strictly audio recording thing on this computer unless I do and I don't know about it. So I have to use my DS recorder and then like download the thing, which is not a bad thing. It's just different. So I should probably put another message on there about like my YouTube channel and my different groups, like the mental health group for the blind and the mental health group for the disability. Since no one subscribed to that group, I feel like deleting it and like creating a whole different group somehow and maybe giving it a different name. I don't know, because I'm just kind of lost that like I'm just kind of lost that like no one's subscribing to this group. And I don't know if it's because they see the word mental illness and they're like, oh, well, I have so much going on anyway with the fact that I have these disabilities. Like, I don't have a mental illness. So I don't know if I just call it like disability emotional support haven or something. Maybe more people will join it. I don't know. But I see these groups on Facebook for people with disabilities and they don't seem that active. So I don't know. I really would like this forum on the email, which is always easier for me to use because I'm always in my email. I'm not always on my Facebook. And some people are like, well, you should be, you know. And like this one person was like having a freak out that I didn't message them every 2 minutes. They're like, if she's not on chat long enough to have a conversation, it's like, well, I have other stuff to do besides be on Facebook, where I can just have my email open and, you know, check it. Like now I'm getting emails, and after I do this, I'll check it, you know. So I don't know. But I guess I'll figure the audio boom thing out. It's just driving me nuts. Other than that, I'm doing good, and I will continue to do work for Robert today. I have another disability. I think it's a high school type thing to look up. And I might look up different alternative high schools in Chicago that work with like emotionally, mentally ill kids or things like that. Maybe he can like do interviews there. And yeah, so that's about it for me for now. I will talk to you guys later, and feel free to comment about any of what I just said about sign language, about the best way to learn it if you're blind, which I'm still trying to figure out, about, the audio boom, about, if you've read those books I was talking about, anything along those lines. Alright, I'll talk to you all later. Have a good day. Bye.
By moving help web stop button.